All right. Did the Treaty of Versailles help cause World War II assignment assistance? All right. So document A, map of Germany. Okay. And the darker part here is land lost by Germany after the war. Okay. And then this is the demilitarized zone, meaning that Germany cannot have any military or factories or anything on that area, on basically on the border of their neighbors. Okay. And then the next is a part of Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, and it should scarcely seem questionable to anyone that the restoration of the frontiers of 1914 could be achieved only by blood. Only childish and naive minds can lull themselves in the idea they can bring about a correction of Versailles by wielding and begging. No nation can remove this hand from its throat except by the sword. So, what territories did Germany lose due to the Versailles Treaty? And we can see from the map above Lorraine, Alsace, Danzig, and the Polish corridor. All right. Question 2, East Prussia remained a part of Germany. Why might the loss of the Polish corridor and Danzig have been especially difficult for Germans? And the answer there, it took away access to the Baltic Sea, and Danzig was a major port of trade for Germany. So we're looking back up here. Danzig, right on the Baltic Sea, Polish corridor. This took access to a trade market for the Germans. All right. In losing territory, what critical resource did Germany give up? All right. And that is coal. As we can see here, took away Alsace and Lorraine away from Germany, reducing German coal production by 40%. So that's two things in losing the territory that's going to really impact their economy. How does Hitler suggest Germans should respond to the Versailles Treaty? And he says the only way to get this land back was through war. So they lost this land through losing World War I and the Versailles Treaty. And Hitler's saying the only way to get this back is through another war. All right. How can you use this document to explain how the Versailles Treaty helped cause World War II? Germany lost territory and ways to make money. All right, moving down to document B, the Treaty of Versailles. Oops, excuse me. And we have, maybe I should just, there we go. The part of the Treaty of Versailles, Article 160, and it says, by a date which must not be later than March 31st, 1920, the German army must not compromise more than 7 divisions of infantry and 3 divisions of cavalry. After that date, the total number of military troops in Germany must not exceed 100,000 men, including officers. The army shall be devoted exclusively to the maintenance of order within the territory and to the control of the frontiers. The total effective strength of officers, including the personnel of staffs, whatever their composition, must not exceed 4,000. So they're limited. Part of the deal of the treaty was they're limiting the size of Germany army. All right. So this political cartoon here, all right, you see the French with about, including reserve soldiers, about 5 million. The Belgians with about 600,000. The Germans here are maxed out at 100,000 soldiers. Poland's got about 3.5 million, and Czechoslovakia's got over 1 million. So Germany's surrounded on all sides by militaries, by countries with very strong and big militaries, where Germany's limited to 100,000 soldiers. Okay. So the total number of soldiers they are allowed is 100,000. Article 160 basically says Germany, use your military to handle matters inside of Germany. You're not to try to expand, you're not to try to get involved in foreign conflicts. You have a military basically to solve domestic issues inside of Germany. France, with about 5.5 million, has the largest combined army. The implied imagery here is the chain, okay? and it suggests that they are badly outnumbered. And what might German citizens and politicians be worried about would be, since they're surrounded by countries that are far more powerful than they are, they're worried about potential invasion. And then question 10, how can you use this document to explain how the Treaty of Versailles helped cause World War II? Germany felt like they were being pushed around. They felt, and in actuality, due to their army size, were weak. All right, moving on to document C, more terms of the treaty. Article 232, the Allies require and Germany undertakes that she will make compensation for all damage done to the civilian population of the Allied and associated powers and to their property during the period of the belligerency. So remember, in World War I, this treaty was Germany, you are going to pay for the damages done to basically France and Britain. Okay, you're going to pay to fix their country because it was your fault this war escalated. You lost. The losers pay the winners. All right. And this says the amount of reparations or payments to be made by Germany shall be determined by an inter-allied commission, which will consider the claims and give to Germany a just opportunity to be heard. Commission shall draw up a schedule of payments prescribing the time and manner for securing and discharging the entire obligations within a period of 30 years from May 1st, 1921. Here's the reparations and what they are in 2010 dollars. So they said in 1921, you're going to pay 132 billion gold marks. That'd be 367 billion to be paid over 30 years. Germany doesn't have any money after the war. Okay, so they have very little to pay. 1929, they reduce that number to 112 and basically say, all right, you owe us what is now the equivalent of 341. But the Germans, once again, because the Great Depression hits in 1929, have very little money and pay very little. Hitler comes to power in 1933 and stops all payments to Britain and France. So, reparations are fines for Germany losing World War I used to rebuild France, Great Britain, and Belgium. Why was Germany required to pay reparations for World War I? They lost. Rebuild the winners' countries. The idea was pay that over a 30-year period from 1921 to 1951. And then in 1929, what was the reduced amount of reparations Germany was required to pay in German gold marks? It was 112 billion German gold marks, which is 341 billion 2010 US dollars. So how does this document help explain how the Treaty of Versailles contributed to World War II? It created an unstable Germany because they had no money to help their own people. All right, and then our final document, document D here, more parts of the treaty. And it says, Article 231, the Allied and associated governments affirm and Germany accepts the responsibility of Germany and her allies for causing all the loss and damage to which the Allied and associated governments and their nationals have been subject as a consequence of the war imposed upon them by the aggression of Germany and her allies. And then Lawrence V. Moyer writes in a book written in 1995, so a secondary source, the Allies continued in the years after 1919 to regard the Versailles Treaty as an international contract, but most Germans saw it as an atrocious injustice, an evil thing which must be destroyed. The feeling persisted long after most of the provisions had been carried out, long after many Germans could even name its provisions. What they knew of the treaty was etched indelibly in their minds and could be abbreviated in a single word: humiliation. Humiliation over being blamed for this war. World War I. Nations, as with individuals, do not like to be made to feel disgraced and cast off. It undermines a sense of worth, their value of themselves. Much of the exaltation, enthusiasm within Germany arising from the Nazi regime arose from the way in which Hitler restored a sense of pride, reawakened a sense of self-respect, forcing the world to look at Germany anew. So, sorry about that. My mouse is a little crazy today. All right. So, main idea is Germany's to blame for World War One. They accept that blame. The world blames them. The German people are ashamed by that. Okay, so the German people think that the Treaty of Versailles needs to be destroyed. Why did many Germans admire Adolf Hitler initially? Because he restored a sense of German pride. And how can you use this document to explain how the Treaty of Versailles helped cause World War II? Somebody like Hitler was allowed to come to power because the German people were tired of being in the dumps. Okay, hope this helped.